0630 local time, inside the fire control center of a Bavar 373 air defense battery in western Iran. The phased array radar scopes suddenly erupt with dozens of irregular thermal spikes escalating across the Iraqi border. This is not a stealth strike package, nor is it a ballistic salvo. This is a swarm of Lucas drones, valued at a mere $35,000 apiece. Slow, noisy, and deliberately provocative, they penetrate Iranian airspace with a singular clinical objective: to execute a kinetic DDoS, suffocating the adversary's processing bandwidth. 0712 local time. While the western skies are choked with the exhaust of desperate interceptor missiles, the true fire equation is activated in the Persian Gulf. Aboard the guided missile destroyer USS Submarines, the cells of the Mk-41 vertical launch system ignite. A 1.5-ton block of steel designated Tomahawk tears through the atmosphere. Its coffee table-sized turbofan spools to life, and the weapon immediately drops to a sea-skimming altitude of 15 meters. At 4-second intervals, 25 auditors begin threading through Iranian coastal radar gaps at a velocity of 900 kilometers per hour. Tehran is now caught in a vice: a low-cost trash storm to the west and cold wave-skimming blades to the south. The Pentagon's system liquidation protocol has officially commenced. 0635 local time, inside the Kermanshah Air Defense District. The phased array radar scopes of the Bavar 373 system are bleeding red. 40 unidentified variables are escalating at 110 knots, performing non-linear flight paths. The Iranian commander, a clinical veteran, recognizes the signature. This is a kinetic DDoS designed to induce processing bankruptcy. He refuses to toggle the master arm for his long-range missiles. Instead, he issues a cold directive: Samavat batteries, cleared hot. 8 dual-barrel 35mm Samavat autocannons erupt in unison. Vomiting tungsten shrapnel shells at a cyclic rate of 550 rounds per minute, they construct a wall of molten steel in the lower atmosphere. 3 Lucas drones are pulverized into carbon fiber dust within seconds. However, the Task Force Scorpion Strike algorithm responds instantly. The remaining drones execute the dive and saturate protocol, plunging into erratic, high-frequency wing waggles to break the fire control computer's lead angle prediction. The Samavat's targeting computer enters a state of bandwidth saturation. It cannot stabilize a solution on 40 targets, simultaneously flickering through sea clutter and terrain masking. When a lead Lucas drone breaches the 600-meter threshold, the terminal liquidation gate, where a 40-pound warhead can erase the radar's cooling array, the commander's discipline shatters. The master caution light is overridden. A Sayyad 4 interceptor screams off its rail, accelerating to Mach 4 on a pillar of solid propellant flame. A $1.2 million kinetic masterpiece is expended to delete a $35,000 plastic variable. Tehran has just accepted the worst ROI in the history of aerial warfare. This is the moment the Pentagon's equation reaches its solution. The instant the Sayyad 4 radar seeker illuminates to lock its target at close range, it becomes an electromagnetic lighthouse in a pitch-black room. 80 miles away, the passive sensors on a flight of F-35 Ayadirs flying in total emission silence inhale every byte of the Iranian frequency. The exact geospatial coordinates of the battery are fused into the Link 16 network with sub-meter precision. 807 local time, at an altitude of 10,000 meters over western Iraq. 12 Israeli 15I Rams are surging eastward, concealed beneath an electromagnetic ghost generated by the lead F-35 flight. Latched under their fuselages are Rampage missiles, each weighing over 2,000 pounds, kinetic entities designed to decapitate Tehran's command and control apparatus. Detecting the signature of a massive inbound strike, Iranian electronic warfare units in Tehran activate the electronic curtain. They flood the satellite bands with billions of watts of white noise, attempting to induce a GPS blind spot over the capital to misdirect the coalition's precision munitions. Inside the aft cockpit of the lead Ram, the weapons officer calmly monitors his multi-function displays. The final target coordinates were streamed via Link 16 from an Orion Scout aircraft loitering over Jordan. Ignoring the saturated GPS spectrum, the Rampage's silicon brain toggles to image matching and its high-precision inertial navigation system, INS. The pilot mashes the weapon release button. 2,500 pounds of steel separate from the pylon, causing the 15 to jolt upward as it sheds the massive load. Seconds later, the solid rocket motor ignites. The Rampage shatters the sound barrier, leaving a diminishing white vapor trail in the pilot's mirrors as it climbs into its high-altitude ballistic arc. This is where the calculus of the mission is solved. While the Tomahawk missiles launched from the sea at 0712 require 45 minutes to reach their destination, the supersonic Rampage requires less than 300 seconds for its terminal dive. This disparity creates a procedural fracture in the adversary's warning cycle. Precisely at 0810, before the first cycle of Tehran's air raid sirens could conclude, 12 Rampage warheads impact simultaneously. The Supreme Leader's office on Pasteur Street and the Ministry of Defense are dissected by Mach 3 kinetic energy. Seismic shockwaves shatter the primary support pillars, causing the structures to collapse into their own cores before Iranian radar operators could even trigger a master caution alert. 8:12 a.m. Precisely 2 minutes after the decapitation strike in Tehran, the secondary kinetic wave arrives at Iran's southern periphery. The Tomahawks, having concluded their 60-minute sea-skimming transit, cross the shoreline of the Persian Gulf. The IRGC coastal defense nodes at Asaluye are fully alerted. They activate localized GPS jamming arrays, attempting to blind the inbound missiles. On the ridges overlooking the naval pens, DSHK heavy machine gun teams hose the sky with a desperate curtain of 12.7mm tracers, hoping to intercept a target moving at 250 meters per second. The Tomahawk's silicon brain remains indifferent to the electromagnetic noise. In its terminal phase, the weapon toggles from satellite navigation to DSMAC, Digital Scene Matching Area Correlator. Its onboard optical sensor reads the physical geometry of the coast, comparing real-time terrain features against high-resolution AI memory. The jammer arrays become irrelevant variables. 3 Tomahawks, following a non-linear attack vector, slam directly into the reinforced concrete vaults of the Pentagon fast attack craft. The 1,000-pound warheads penetrate the limestone-shielded roofs before detonating. The resulting overpressure within the confined space transforms the bunkers into kinetic incinerators, welding the swarm fleet to their own docking cradles. Simultaneously, at the deepwater port of Chabahar, the audit shifts to the Ghadir-class submarine berths. The missiles do not seek the hulls submerged in the silt. They target the umbilical nodes, the heavy loading cranes, and specialized mine handling stations. The U.S. Navy does not need to sink every submarine to win. By deleting the shoreside infrastructure, they have tactically castrated the fleet. Tehran's undersea assets remain intact under the waterline, but without rearming stations, they are reduced to multi-million-dollar garden ornaments. 0815 local time. As the seismic shockwaves from the Rampage strikes continue to reverberate through the ruins of Pasteur Street, the F-35I Adir flight package penetrates Tehran's inner sanctum at 7,000 meters. Israel is not hunting soldiers. It is dissecting the logistical neocortex, the high-value nodes that regulate the lifeblood of the Iranian war machine. Tehran's command center triggers a high-density chemical screen. This specialized aerosol is engineered to alter the atmospheric refractive index, causing laser designator beams to scatter and drift. To a conventional pilot, the target building would appear as a digital mirage, physically displaced by dozens of meters on their targeting pods. Inside the Adir, the pilot remains unmoved. His aircraft is operating in passive optical link mode, ingesting a fusion stream from F-22 Raptors, orbiting in the pristine air at 15,000 meters. Via Link 16, the long-range scout data is merged with the Adir's augmented reality processor. A stable, three-dimensional geometric wireframe of the target is projected onto the pilot's visor, negating the chemical fog through pure mathematical triangulation. The pilot initiates the weapon release. Small diameter bombs, GBU-39, separate from the internal base, their diamondback wings extending to begin a 40-mile glide in total acoustic silence. Guided by the unjammable logic of sensor fusion, 3 SDBs strike the Ministry of Defense simultaneously. The munitions do not seek total structural collapse. Programmed with hard-target smart fuses, the warheads punch through the reinforced roofs and detonate precisely on the 3rd floor, the specific coordinates of the high-density server farms and tactical data nodes. A focused overpressure wave formats the realization of Iranian command and control, turning decades of intelligence into carbon dust without leveling the entire district. Simultaneously, identical settlements are delivered to the Ministry of Intelligence and the Atomic Energy Organization. This is a clinical severing of the neocortex. Tehran's brain is bisected from its muscular tell units in the field. The Iranian military is no longer a coordinated system. It is a collection of disjointed mechanical assets awaiting their final invoice. 09:15 local time, deep within the Kermanshah Valley of the Zagros Mountains. Iran's domestic phased array system, the SA-65, Tehran's desperate gap filler for its shattered S-300 batteries, executes a high-stakes gambit. Operating under strict emission control, the Iranian battery remains silent, utilizing long-range electro-optical trackers to set a cold start ambush for the inbound coalition flight. The instant the lead Super Hornets enter the optimal kill zone, the SA-65 flares to life. A high-energy engagement pulse saturates the sky, establishing a weapons-grade track within 0.8 seconds. The Iranian commander understands the emission penalty. He has a micro window to fire before his own coordinates are audited by coalition sensors. Orbiting 40 miles west, an EA-18G Growler detects the spike. Its ALQ-249 pods immediately project a torrent of high-fidelity digital noise tuned precisely to the Iranian frequency. The SA-65 scope dissolves into a data graveyard of white static, blinding the radar operators as they struggle to maintain the lock. While the Growler suffocates the adversary's bandwidth, an F-35I Adir utilizes its passive sensor suite to triangulate the exact point of origin. The geospatial data is injected into the Link 16 network, streaming the solution to a follow-on strike aircraft. An AGM-88E AARGM separates from its rail. Accelerating to Mach 3, the missile's multi-mode seeker remembers the radar signature even after the Iranians panic and kill the power. Impact. A focused kinetic bloom erases the phased array face. 2 years of Iranian domestic R&D are liquidated into scorched silicon and molten scrap before the lunch hour. With the integrated air defense grid officially bankrupt, the audit shifts to Iran's strategic mobile variables, the Shahab-3 ballistic missile launchers, TELs. In the valleys of Loristan, Iranian TEL crews attempt a desperate concealment tactic, merging their 50-ton launch vehicles into civilian truck convoys. They gamble on the coalition's reluctance to engage targets with high collateral variables, using the thermal haze of diesel engines to mask their specific infrared signature. The Israeli 15I ROMs do not engage the moving convoys. They wait for the Newtonian bottleneck. To launch, the Shahab-3 must be stationary, leveled, and connected to fuel umbilicals. This is the moment where Iranian mobility is traded for the volatile chemistry of liquid propellant. The weapons officer on the lead ram locks his Spice 2000 pod onto the fueling interface. He does not seek the warhead, he seeks the valve. The weapon release is silent. The guided bomb utilizes its AI-driven scene-matching seeker to navigate the granite shadows of the valley. The Spice 2000 impacts the TEL's base at a vertical angle. 3 tons of hypergolic fuel ignite in a catastrophic chain reaction. The resulting overpressure doesn't just destroy the launcher, it triggers a massive rock slide from the surrounding limestone cliffs. The valley becomes a permanent concrete and granite tomb, sealing the Iranian strategic asset beneath thousands of tons of debris. Now, if you want to continue following the strategic strikes of Operation Epic Fury, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next update. Military Calculus. Understand the tech that writes history. Goodbye.